Hello YouTube and welcome to GrunfWorks. This is episode 67 of the Interplanetary Voyage of Exploration, and today we are once again going back to Minmus, or at least we will be designing a launcher that would be doing some of the station science experiments that we did already in the orbit around Kerbin, namely plant growth and creature comforts, and it will be performing them at Minmus. We do need some more science after all to unlock more advanced tech nodes, and our science that is coming from Duna, well, Jeb has collected a pretty impressive amount of science, but it is still a long while until he gets back. So we need to dedicate ourselves to getting some more local science and also to be testing and giving some more meaning to our space stations, I guess. By the way, at some point later I'm still doing stuff around Minmus, but if the transfers for my interplanetary become too long and too tedious or nothing will be happening, then I might be accelerating times a little bit more than just doing missions to Minmus. So I'll try and to balance it out so it's not too many Minmus or too many interplanetary, so we get on somewhat even footing here. Yeah. Also, guys, you are welcome to put in your suggestions what you would like to see. I mean, I do have a plan that I will pretty much follow in terms of interplanetary missions and also Minmus, but then again, suggestions are always welcome. Okay, so this is pretty much the lander or the craft that would be carrying my Kerbals. So as you know, Minmus Station is currently automated, and I have put the decoupler the wrong way deliberately, because I do want to decouple from the Minmus Station, leaving only the docking port there. Later I heard that basically you could just put in the docking port, but well, sorry, I've been bad paying attention at that one. So by the way, also we have Creature Comforts experiment, but without the zoology bay. And while we're at it, we might also as well be launching the colony center, because I'm thinking I really do want to get my Minmus Station to be the first dry run for the UKS self-sufficient orbital station that I want to be placing around maybe Duna or Jewel. Or Eve for that matter. I don't know. I'm still thinking about that. So, Minmus is good proving ground because it's quite fast to get stuff launched there, and when I will be doing Duna launches it will be probably more massive in terms of getting these volumes of stations there. I don't know if I will be sending the cows to Duna, to be honest. That's still way off the charts. So, okay, this is pretty much unconventional launcher. I mean, the point is, I think I have to get 3 Kerbals over there. At least 3, because those are required for the science bay, and maybe 1 additional for the zoology bay. But I think we can manage it with 3 alone. That should be enough. Okay, so that being said, I'm just putting a launch escape system, because I'm sending 3 of my very valuable Kerbals. I really don't want to lose them. So rather than just a parachute on top, I want to have the ejection system, and I'm gonna put the decoupler here. So I don't know if the decoupler is needed or not, but then again, I don't want to find out when I need it the most. So in the case of the trouble, abort, we should activate the engine and decouple the bottom decoupler, which should hopefully eject the cargo capsule and all science with it away. Then let's see. On the regular decoupling, I do want to decouple this, so I have to be careful in terms of how do I set up my staging. Okay, some lights. I have to be very careful. You can easily overdo it with lights. Then let's see, I want to put some RCS, because we do need RCS to get there. And I want to be putting as many RCS ports on my lander because I really do not want to... Okay, yeah, let's put this the other way up. And I'm thinking I do want to put SAS here. And I do want to put the RCS. And the RCS, I have removed the ejection system just to balance out the RCS. Because if all goes well, this mission should be balanced without the RCS thrusters. So I do want to balance, assuming that I don't still have the ejection system. So, okay. This looks good. Let's put back the ejection system and... Okay, stack the coupler, perfect, and now we should be putting the boosting stage, so, or actually the transfer stage to Minmus. And I don't want to be putting a whole lot of delta V because we don't need that much. But I do want to be putting sufficient, so I'm thinking about Guppy engine, and I'm thinking about like maybe 872, that might be a little bit low-ish, and I'm just trying, I think I'll stick to this one, but maybe with a little bit larger tank though, maybe this one. How does that look? 1947 delta V. Well, that gives me a lot more confidence, to be honest. Okay, so let's put 3.25 interstage adapter. Yeah, something along those lines. And then I want to be putting 3.75. Ooh, not the 5 meter. Sorry. Yeah, 3.75 meter fuel tank and a big engine at the bottom. So that gives us 1.35 thrust to weight. By the way, I'm not using fairings here because we have a crew that needs to be able to eject if push comes to shove. So I'm just want to strut these because I'm a little bit concerned in terms of how it will hold up. It's a longish rocket, so I remembered an old trick that I was using, and it's called small cubic octagonal strut. So I'm just trying to find the right one. Hold on, is it that one? Yeah, something along those lines. That should hopefully make these connections more rigid and make my rocket not behave like a wet noodle. Okay, perfect. So I want 2 boosters, and I'm gonna use the liquid fuel boosters together with some Rhino engines at the bottom, I think. I was thinking first go with mainsail. Let's just see how would that work in terms of staging and all that jazz. It's 1.26 thrust to weight, so it's a little bit on the lowish side. So okay, putting some more RCS thrusters to keep things balanced, and then I decided to replace this one with the Rhino. And the Rhino one nets me 1.66 thrust to weight. It's still a little bit lower, but sufficient enough. Okay, let's just fix the staging very carefully, because we have to be very careful in terms of not, if we mess up our staging, then we have a problem. So, okay, launch escape system, and I think we're more or less done. So let us perform a test, because this will be a crew launch, which means, oh yeah, launch clamps. Yeah, we do want those. And let's perform a test. This will be a crewed mission, so it's only fair that we test everything. Getting ready for the launch, and Throttle to max. Flight computer on, and let's launch it. Okay, so far so good. Rocket seems to be flying straight and true. Great. Then there are two tests that I want to perform. One of them is the stage separation, and the second is the launch escape system test. So, since this is only a simulation, I also have Bob, Bill, and Maxted in there. So, first we want to dump the boosters as soon as they run out, which might be a little bit while, but nevertheless. So far the rocket, although being quite long-ish, seems very stable, but then again it's pretty sleek, so overall I'm not that worried. Yeah. Thrust to weight looks good, and I decided just to skip the boosting stage test and test the ejection system per se. Seems to be working fine. By the way, I really like this launch escape system. It's a good way to make sure that our Kerbals would survive. And dumping the ejection booster now. Going through the stages, making sure that I do activate our thrusters. And then we will be hitting the chutes once we actually get lower. So let us just point toward the ground. We are still going up at 20 meters per second, so this will quite quickly flip down, and it did. Which means we are going back to Kerbin. In simulation, of course. So, yes, let's see how that will fare. Some debris going down. And yes, so far seems so good. 17 kilometers down. That's quite a long drop. Deploying the landing legs. So far, our launch has been smooth, and it seems we will be landing back at the KSC, which is kinda cool. I just hope that we won't destroy any building in the process. Okay. Slowing down. Wow, and we are actually landing just next to the flagpole. Proudly flying the flag of GrunfWorks. Okay, in front of the astronaut building. Wow. Well, honestly, I didn't expect this, but this is just great. Perfect. I would call that a successful test. Great. Now time to launch the real deal. Or maybe not launch, but first build it. I'm actually very happy with the way the first test worked. I mean, I didn't test all the stages, but I did test the ejection system, which I find to be almost the most important one. Okay. Great. Now, we are actually having the crew for this one will be Moomin, Kustah, and Rem T. Kerman. Some of the more recently hired Kerbals that have been put on my team. Moomin and Kustah are scientist and pilot, and Rem is, I think, pilot as well. So, but it's only fitting that we do carry one scientist, because after all, you know, we do need to perform orbital science, so that's where scientists come in handy, you know. Okay, great. So let's roll out the Minmus Station experiments ship. Perfect. And I think we can proceed to launch. Okay, once again selecting the crew, Moomin, Kustha and Rem T. Kerman. 3 brave Kerbals contributing to the science over Minmus. And off we go. Regular launch, good thrust to weight at launch. Moomin seems a little bit worried, and Kustha as well, but Rem seems to have everything under control. Great. Performing our gravity turn. Passing 20 kilometers. Our apoapsis is closing in on 70, which means it's already above the atmosphere. Great. We're shooting for roughly 100 and first stage booster separation. Perfect. A little bit steeper ascent angle, but no matter. Great. Planning our maneuver node, and we should have 1.74 thrust to weight, which should be enough. Just burning ever so carefully to make sure that I'm properly aligned to execute the maneuver node. And burning for the circularization. Not much waiting time on this one, guys and gals. I really do like the exhausts of this one. I know that in the later versions there has been some small graphical overhaul in terms of the beauty of the exhausts, but then again, yeah, I'm still playing 090 for obvious reasons due to my huge mod list and the fact that I already started this save, so I'm gonna stick with it until the 1.1 hits. By the way, today, as I'm recording the audio for this, 105 has hit. So yeah, I think I'll be giving it a look, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna be starting a new save before the 1.1 comes out and some of the mods get updated, because as you see, I really like to play with a whole lot of mods. Okay, so we need to do some fixing for the... So by the way, this video will be a bit longish, so I might cut some of the sections and do them off camera, simply because there's, well, too much content, but most of them I'll be just showing in time acceleration, so yeah. Okay, just checking how long our burn will take. Practically nothing. Great. And I'm making sure that I fix the inclination relative to the Minmus. 246 meters per second burn overall. Not a whole lot, but sufficient enough. Everybody is very excited for this mission, despite the fact that the rocket is just kind of flipping, pointing upwards, pointing downwards. It's all good fun. After all, they're Kerbals, they're enjoying it. Okay, getting ready to perform the burn, and burning. This rocket is a little bit longer, so it's a little bit harder to control, but then again, what can you do? Our experiments are also a bit long-ish. So yeah, just tweaking, fiddling with the maneuver node, trying to get a nice encounter with Minmus, making sure that I'm coming in from the right side as well, and Now I'm just noticing that I'm doing laps around Moon, and I don't want Moon, I want Minmus. I almost had a perfect encounter around Moon. So, yeah. Good approach, wrong planet. Nice job, GrunfWorks. Otherwise, I might be coming in and asking, okay, so what did I do wrong, you know? Okay. 900 meters per second of our total 2.3 thousand, of which 516 is in this stage and the rest is within the Guppy stage. And I'm a little bit careful because Guppy is a much lower thrust engine, higher efficiency though, so I'm a little bit worried that I will be burning, you know, I might be passing my maneuver node. So I'm already hitting the gas here and now starting to burn with the Guppy, and it's like an additional 2 minutes. I'm a little bit worried that I might miss my Minmus encounter, but then again I can fix it a little bit later. Let's see how that will fare. I do have more Delta V, but my budget is around 700-ish to rendezvous with the station, because the rest is my return stage that I do plan to return, you know. So, okay. Passing our Moon encounter and coming close on the Minmus, and oh, sorry for this, guys. Yeah. And here we go. Minmus encounter, just fiddling to get the correct one. Okay, and the change is so minuscule that I should basically not fix anything at the moment. So, okay, let us just align and enjoy the view as we leave Kerbin. By Kerbin, we'll be coming back pretty shortly. We just need to transfer some cows and do some experiments. Okay, beautiful sight, mandatory for worth a screeny, that's for sure. And let us go and rendezvous with Minmus. Passing Moon by an inch thread, and Minmus, come on, don't be late for our rendezvous, please. There it comes, ever so punctual. And changing sphere of influence in 15 minutes, which I will of course time accelerate, no point in watching all that. So yeah, by the way, I think I'm gonna skip ahead until we come to the actual rendezvous here. I'm not entirely sure because I'm now talking in like post commentaries. I'm not sure if I did cut that part out or I did not. We will anyway see pretty soon enough, so yeah, I'm just now making sure to align correctly, and okay, my GUI went a little bit nuts, so yeah, I basically couldn't figure out what was wrong with my GUI, and basically half of the icons weren't showing, so yeah, a little bit strange bug, but what can you do? So I just reloaded, and I reloaded when I was a little bit closer, so doing the burn, and then I'll do the rendezvous. Okay. And as you can see, I cannot select the station, target station, for some reason. I don't get why. But the most important thing is now that we circularize an orbit, and then later we'll fix the rest. Coming up on Minmus. Passing some of the fields that we already visited. By now the Minmus is pretty much well-known proving grounds for us, and an ideal testing ground for new technologies, I guess. So coming up on our maneuver and burning until we get a circularization. Until we circularize the orbit. Perfect. Great. Now we have to set up rendezvous with the station. So I had to reload, guys. Sorry for that. And let's see. We have a maneuver node that should set us up with a rendezvous. Or good enough rendezvous, so to say. Perfect. Let's see how that will fare. Just making sure that I come as close as possible. And on the periapsis, I want to be touching the periapsis here. So just to make sure that we are more or less on the same altitude. And then when I come back to the periapsis, so at apoapsis I'm burning to match the periapsis, and then at periapsis I will be burning for the rendezvous. Great. Going around Minmus. Kusta is excited for all the great science that he's gonna gather. After all, he's being a scientist and all that. So, 0.8 burn. I think I'm gonna complete this one on RCS. Cool, and now at this point I'll just align so that, oh, and perfect, we will be having a very nice encounter very close to each other. So that's a total of 36 meters per second. So as you can see, we had more than enough of fuel. So yeah, well, like I said, I like to over-engineer my stuff, so don't judge me. Okay, and let us time accelerate until we reach the rendezvous, or the maneuver node, sorry, not the rendezvous. Rendezvous is on the next orbit. Yeah, okay. In 3 minutes, and the burn will take 17 seconds. And I think it will take 17 seconds purely because it is, we have thrust limited our engine, I think. So, yeah. Finishing up on RCS, making sure we get a good enough encounter, which we do. Great. 2 minutes margin for rendezvous. Okay, doing a final lap and closing up on our station. Great. A little bit of physics warp kicking in, I guess, which means that we are pretty close. Yep, 1.8, and we're going at 15 meters per second. So, well, that's what I call a more or less textbook approach. Perfect. So, let's come ever so closer, and we will be docking to one of the senior docking ports sticking out of the science of the Minmus Orbital Lab. Perfect. I have to rename that. It's not Minmus Orbital Lab 1 Science Lab component, it's Minmus Orbital 1, I guess. But, well, we only have one at the moment. $200 meters, and I want to be dumping my ascent stage. I just want to make sure that it does miss the station. 80 meters in, screenshot, dumping that one, and let us just do the docking. Perfect. Coming ever so closer. We have our docking ports aligned, and we are just now making sure that we approach it in the right way. By the way, I really like how my stations are turning up to be, and they also have a purpose, which is kind of... It was something that I really wanted. I didn't want to construct stations just for the sake of constructing a station. I mean... Great. I have to be really careful for this solar array ring. And docked. Perfect. So now we have to do some transferring of the Kerbals to the right assignments, I guess. Screenshot. Mandatory. Yeah. So let's EVA these guys, and you go to the science lab. I guess I'll allocate first all three to the science lab to be performing the plant growth experiment, and then I'll just relocate one of them to the zoology bay to talk to the cows and see how do they like it around Minmus, I guess. Perfect. Second one. I tried, by the way, the stock Kerbal transfer EVA. For some reason it doesn't work for me. I don't know why. And I'm really worried when it doesn't work from the get-go. I'm very careful not to basically mess up the rest of my ship, so I'll just do the transfer EVA regular style. Actually, we might put this guy in. And then I see that I'm understaffed, so... Yeah, oops. Let's transfer the guy at the science lab. By the way, guys, I think I'm gonna call this an episode. If you like the episode, hit that subscribe button for more KSP content that should be coming soon. Once again, guys, thank you very much for watching. This is GrunfWorks signing off from Minmus.